I'm going to go from one guest that I really enjoy to another guest that I am always appreciative of. Margaret Kimberley, how you doing? You doing okay today?
I am. I'm doing fine. It's good to be back.
It is always good to have you. Thank you for coming on a bit later. This is a full show. This show is going to go till like 12 in the morning. So this is going to be
Okay.
late. But we have Margaret Kimberley. She is a senior columnist and editor at Black Agenda Report, author of Prejudential, Black Americas, and the Presidents. You can check out a Freedom Ride blog that is on Twitter. Margaret, thank you for joining me. I whenever you come on the show, I always look up the articles to see if there's anything that's on the marquee. And
Okay.
of course, one of the main things is the No Kings protest. Now,
Yes.
what's funny about that is many of the people that I talked to have had a very similar sentiment. You guys on Black Agenda Report called
hmm
it, where is it? I'm trying to get the exact term for it.
We had two
Bring it.
good articles.
Yeah, they're
One
two good
from
articles.
me
One is
and one from
infantile,
Anthony Rogers Wright.
infantile, juvenile height of fancy, and yours was the lure of spectacle. The
Yes.
lure of I don't have the things up, but the people in the frog costumes, the breakdancing chicken, um, I know why they did it. Right? They did it because there was like all of these people are valid and everything else. It's like, okay, well, we're gonna make people look silly and we're gonna go in frog costumes, and so we're gonna humiliate ourselves, and by definition humiliate the opposition by showing this is nonsense. This is a far cry from men in suits saying I'm a man. Um, give
Yes.
me give me your take on this quote unquote no kings protest. The largest, by the way, in US history, apparently.
Yeah. 7 million people around the country. Huge here in New York City. An
Yep.
estimated 100,000 people. But that's part of the problem that people look back and they talk about the March on Washington, the many actions that resulted in the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act and other programs that were helpful to so many millions of people, or the first Earth Day marches that led Nixon to establish the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. That was a result of protest. So people look at that and think, aha, we need a big event, when that's backwards. It's not the spectacle that got results, it's the organizing. And organizing should start small. We say all politics are local. That's a true expression, I think. So while people around the country, there's grassroots organizing over any number of issues, and you build the grassroots organizations, you build them, form coalitions, and that's what creates progress. You don't start with a big march and then say, think you're changing things, especially when the big march in question is, frankly, just a Democratic Party get out the vote effort. That's all No Kings is. The organization that's called for it, Indivisible, is run by former Democratic Party operatives. The goal of the No Kings, the event organizers, is to get people out to vote in the midterm elections and in 2028. And that cannot be the the impetus for thinking that you're organizing, for thinking that you're going to change things, for thinking that you can oppose the Trump administration. So it's backwards and it's cynical. So that's my problem with No Kings. Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
Sorry, there are prayers in the background, and I muted when because of
Oh,
the background noise. Um, there was no demands all either.
correct.
Like you can make a case that said, "Well, we don't want a king." That's a demand. Um, Fair enough, but as you pointed out, this is kind of a Democratic get out the vote campaign. Hillary Clinton apparently gave her an announcement. Kamala Harris gave her announcement, and I think the no demands thing is not a bug; it's a feature. Like
Exactly.
it's like Harris's campaign, right? We don't want you. There was no demands placed on that campaign, and all things being equal, Harris was promising this kind of pity Annie stuff to pretty much every little group. Nobody believed that she was going to do any of it, but it was just her way of doing it. Meaning there's no, say, this is what we expect. Because we don't want you to say this is what you expect. We just want you to get out and vote. There's a difference in those things. And I think that's a problem.
Well, as you said, it's not a bug, it's a feature. Democratic Party does not want people to make demands. They don't want to hear from their people. They don't want them to make demands. So if they're going to have a big march, of course, it's going to be free of demands, or else at the end, when people were saying, where are the demands were to be pro-Ukraine. Something about the colors were blue and yellow or something. And that's about continuing what is the current forever war, it looks like to me, continuing U.S. imperialism. So no, they don't want issues. And if they do, it's something that the party establishment and the oligarchs want. So and it's unfortunate because people argued with each other about it. Is it worthwhile? Isn't it worthwhile? Well, at least we're doing something. Don't you have to show up? How can you not join everybody else? And people feel good. Everybody feels good if you're marching with thousands of other people and you're making common cause about thinking things that are important to you. But that's what makes it dangerous. The harder work of finding people to work on issues that are important to you, to really organize your block, your neighborhood, your town or city. That's much harder. And it's less attractive, frankly, than being in a march with thousands of other people. And there are fun elements, as you were pointing out. I'm not saying people, well, actually, I am saying people should stop doing that. You know, the last thing I want to see is someone cosplaying, what is that TV show, Handmaid's Tale, people dressed in those stupid costumes. It's dumb. Stop it. Stop it. It is very unserious. And and people are actually parodies of themselves. There's a picture of Kamala Harris's husband, whose name escaped, Doug Emhoff, right? That's his name. Posing with the protester who actually has on a sign, we're going to brunch or something. I'm like, can people stop with the brunch signs? I mean, it's a joke.
What's the brunch?
What's that?
You said the brunch
people
thing.
saying, if Kamala Harris had won, we could all be at brunch now. Which is also a declaration of unseriousness in and of itself. So you want to continue your normal life, so you can't stand Trump and you think he's a fascist. But for you, if Kamala Harris were president, you wouldn't have to pay attention to anything, and you could just live your life of. And I'm not saying people shouldn't want a happy life. But that's very, very unserious. If I had a march, you'd be banned if you had a sign that said, if Kamala won, we could all be at brunch, or if Trump were gone, we could all be I'd say go back home. That would be me. But that's serious. That's serious organizing, and not this top-down effort from people who paved the way for Trump. I don't think we should not shrink from saying that the Democratic Party is to blame for both of Trump's victories. Yeah. Hillary Clinton did not take him seriously. She spent her campaign trying to paint him as a Russian puppet and getting the national security state to spy on him. And that is absolutely, and it kills me to say that Trump is right. They were spying on him. They were entrapping people to make him the issue with Russia, instead of doing the grunt work of a campaign, getting people out in swing states. She needed 78,000 more votes in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. How do you raise $1 billion and you can't get 80,000 more people out? I mean, the incompetence and her own corruption. The email story broke, and everybody wants to act like it's no big deal. It was a big deal. How does the Secretary of State not use the State Department server? You would do that if you're hiding something.
Right.
And she was still involved with the Clinton Foundation, the slush fund, influence peddling slush fund. And instead of just being Secretary of State, just looking presidential, that's all she needed to do. She was going to try to be slick, and she's a horrible politician. And that all of that, to make a long story short, all of those things led to Trump's victory in 2016. In 2024, you had Biden, grandpa wouldn't give up the keys. Instead of stepping, his approval rating was below 50%. He should not have run. And the Democratic big money people stayed behind him, and then they dumped him at the end. And they put Kamala forward when nobody voted for her. Nobody wanted her. Then, of course, they allowed the thing that would have guaranteed. I've often said, I think I've said it on your show before, if there had still been a child tax credit, people wouldn't have cared that Biden was senile. They wouldn't have cared. He could have stayed in the race.
Agreed.
But they didn't offer people anything after first marketing themselves most progressive since FDR, cutting child poverty in half, because they know what people want. Then they didn't give people what they want, or they let it disappear. And of course they lost. So I think it's so sorry.
You're fine. You're perfectly fine.
I always turn off my phone, and I forgot to. And instead of doing those basic things that would get people out, it led to Trump. And you can talk about Trump being horrible and he won because he's racist. And well, that's I think, defeatist. And it also lets people off the hook who are responsible for him winning again. So I don't think we can say this enough. It's Democratic wars, Democratic Party austerity, all of these things that they're in favor of. They lost favor with the people, and that's why he won. And now they want to paint him as the only villain, and it's easy to do when you see what he's doing with the tariffs that are bankrupting farmers and the ICE raids. There was an ICE raid on Canal Street in Manhattan yesterday.
Yep.
And it's interesting. Canal Street is a place where people go to buy so-called knockoffs, designer stuff with fake labels. And it's immigrants, mostly African immigrants now, who sell these fake pocketbooks on the street. And people go there to shop, including tourists from all over the country. But somebody decides, because these are African immigrants and they're undocumented, that they had to have this big show of force. So they had ICE in New York City, and you can see the people. It's very spontaneous. I was very pleased to see New Yorkers come out, obstructing the raid, and which is very dangerous now because the Trump administration is arresting people. If you take a picture of ICE or follow them or anything, people are being charged with or getting federal charges. But people came out, and this is organizing. This is what people should be uplifting. This is what should be replicated around the country. And that's harder to do than to have Democratic oligarchs throw a big march that's actually meaningless.
But this is organic, though. Like, this doesn't feel like organized. This feels like people are pissed off.
Well, but that's how you start the organizing, because there are people, Trump, I haven't been here since his speech with the generals, and he talked about it's very dangerous. There's an enemy within, and you should be able to take people out in this country like you do around the world. And Antifa, this fake non-existent organization, and we're going to clean up the big cities. This is terrible. He declared war on the people of this country. And fighting that is going to be hard, but it's something but you can see with that spontaneous action, that's what many people want to do. And that's the way to the issue to organize, or an issue to organize around. And there are other issues as well. So, but that's harder work. It's harder work to determine what the principles of an organization are, a plan of action. That's more difficult. Who are you going to be in coalition with? Are you going to struggle over differences? But that's the real work of change. But that gives me hope, because that shows you don't get 7 million people to turn out unless people do want change. I suppose that's the good
Right.
thing
Right.
about the No Kings March. It shows you that there are people who want to do something, because we have this fake opposition party who aren't doing enough. They are so far holding the line on the budget agreement, and the government's shut down because of it. But it's the people who are going to have to give this kind of direction. And as difficult as that can be, that's the way to get change. I'm sure there'll be more No Kings marches. There was one earlier this year, but I'm encouraging people not to participate. I am taking a side here. And I know that's controversial, because some people say, well, I don't want to go, but maybe other people should. I think we have to say no, that this is not moving the needle at all. And so I won't be participating. The U.S. is about to go to war against Venezuela. That wasn't an issue. And it's something that's flying under the radar. Nobody except Rand Paul, conservative Republican, nobody's talking about, or very few people are talking.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, like, look, Obama had the kill list, right? Where Obama said it was perfectly okay for the U.S. to murder people abroad. And he was shocked that the kill list kept getting larger. It's like, hey, it's surprising to me that when you kill people, that other people get pissed off about the fact that you've been killing people. And even to the point of killing Americans. And what was the argument that they made, that Eric Holder? I distinctly remember this, because I was sitting there like, what did he just say? Where Eric Holder argued, look, what he said, the judicial jurisprudence or something, I'm paraphrasing, but jurisprudence doesn't necessarily need to take place through the judicial branch. It can take place through the executive branch. And people are like, oh, okay, well, Obama said it, so it's okay. Or Eric Holder said he's with Obama, so that's okay.
It's like, it was horrible.
Yeah, he just acknowledged.
It was absolutely horrible. And it's that kind of thing that makes it difficult to argue against Trump, to say, well, we don't have to give you your day in court. Yes, you do. The Constitution's very clear, and we're always told Obama was a constitutional lawyer. Well, it didn't do us much good, did it? When he decided he could kill Anwar al-Awlaki, a U.S. citizen, and his teenage son, among other people, and argue for indefinite detention. So Trump is not the first person to come up with these things. He's really weaponized it with ICE. But we have to talk about how the Democrats led us here. And that's just one of the many issues that people need to do some hard work behind, that is not connected to electoral politics and not connected with the Democratic Party.
No, agreed. Agreed. People, agreed. They don't seem to acknowledge, or at the very least accept, that Trump doesn't exist without your failings. Meaning, like, you don't really get this rise of the right without this kind of complete failure and collapse of the left. And it seemed that the party had gotten in its mind, well, we don't really have to do anything. We just need to not be Republicans. We need to be least worse. Missing the point that at a certain point, it becomes very difficult to make the distinction, meaning it has to be enough of a differential for me to care. And if you get to the point where you've fallen so low that the only real political angle that you have is Donald Trump is a fascist, Donald Trump is evil, Donald Trump is, going to eat babies. Okay, that becomes, it's like, that's an argument. It's not going to be an argument to get me out of bed. That will get some people out of bed if you're a Democrat. But if people don't believe you, like, meaning they were arguing, they were so shrill, they were screaming that Trump was going to shoot Liz Cheney. That was like the closing arguments that these guys were making, and which makes you think, it's like, okay, these guys are in trouble.
Well, the whole Liz Cheney thing, I mean, that was the sure sign of defeat. I could not believe they were focusing their campaign on somebody Republicans and Democrats didn't care about. Republicans hated. It was so so insane to me. Yeah. But they don't want to do much. That's why, the only thing saving the Democrats now in this, because this is so extreme, with the healthcare issue. I mean, talk about an
Yes,
issue that impacts everyone, that they are still obsessed with Obamacare,
I have a
which
pet
is
peeve about
what
that, by the way. But please
you have a
continue.
what?
I have a pet peeve about that. But please continue. I get to my pet peeve after you finish.
Okay, well, it's a reality. Millions of people depend on these Affordable Care Act subsidies, and people
Yes.
are getting the bills for next year. They're getting them now, and their uh, premiums are tripling and quadrupling. And so the Democrats have, I think they're standing up for now because it's such a basic issue to so many people,
Mhm.
and including to some Republicans. So I'm rambling now and I lost my point.
No,
But
you're fine.
okay, so that's such an issue, a true bread and butter issue for millions of people. So I think they will get credit. But what do we see? We see Trump forcing Republicans to gerrymander to make sure they keep control of the House in the
Yes.
midterms, because the party that wins a presidential election usually loses seats in the midterms. So
Hmm.
they want to make sure that doesn't happen. And we don't see any strategizing to fight that. Should Democrats do it? Should they not do it? Should they do the same thing? But really, no recognition of the radical nature of what he wants to do, or the role they played in bringing it about, or doing something really different, because they're hoping to win without doing anything different. They're hoping
Agreed.
to win with without saying anything serious, without really changing anything politically. That is their goal, and they can, point fingers at Trump for ripping down the White House to build a ballroom, or something I don't care about, quite frankly. But at any rate, that's the kind of thing they are hoping will get people to the polls.
My pet peeve about it is that Obamacare is so insufficient. It is
Oh,
ridiculously
absolutely.
insufficient. And they have people fighting tooth and nail for this insufficient thing, which I feel like is the position that we are continuously put in over and over again, where Democrats are like, well, hey, we're standing up for this thing that doesn't really effectively meet your needs. But hey, what they want is worse. So, you should thank us for this thing that
Well,
doesn't quite meet your
it's
needs.
but you're absolutely right. There should have been a public option. We need
Yeah.
a real public health care system. It's still, the Obamacare is based, I call it Nixon care. It's what Nixon proposed in the 70s, which is
Hmm.
based on what the Heritage Foundation and other conservative think tanks
Romney.
always proposed, to have
Yeah.
this healthcare system that's still wedded to the private sector, still wedded to these healthcare corporations.
Hmm.
And that's the most you're going to get. But it is what people have. And if you get rid of it without replacing it with anything, that's something that will actually motivate people. But you're absolutely right. It's inadequate. It's still expensive. I mean,
Yes.
even with the subsidies,
Yes.
Obamacare, so called, is still expensive. So it's ironic that we have a far right party and a center right party. So the center right party says, "Yeah, we'll have this corporate health care thing," and the far right's like, "No, we need to get rid of it altogether and cost people millions of dollars, and they'll hate us." So, but they're still wedded to doing that.
Yeah. So now we have to fight tooth and nail for an insufficient thing. And apparently thank the Democrat for holding the line for it. It's so aggravating to me. Because it's like,
That is.
I give you an example. I was in Egypt. This was years ago. And I was smoking a cigarette. I was at a doctor's office. Every time I go to a location, I have to get treatments. And I have to pay for those treatments out of pocket. I could tell you how much a dialysis visit costs in pretty much every country around the world. Every country. I was sitting in Egypt and I was waiting for them to call me back. And one of the guys that was sitting there, I thought the guy couldn't speak English, but he's smoking a cigarette. He also smokes a cigarette. So him and I are smoking in the lobby. It's Egypt, right? So it's a thing. And he turns to me, he says, "How much are you paying for this?" And I tell him how much I'm paying for the individual treatment. And he's like, ugh. He says, "My government covers this, right?" But he is effectively saying he's from Germany, and regardless of where he goes, where he needs treatments, the government covers the treatment. And if you're in Europe, same thing. Anywhere in Europe, they can go pretty much any other place in Europe. That stuff is covered, meaning you don't have to pay that out of pocket. And I can tell you the number of countries where I've been to where they're like, God, man, I don't know why you guys do healthcare the way you do healthcare. Like where they're just shocked by the whole thing in the way that the U.S. effectively rapes the population on this notion of healthcare. You have countries that have health insurance, but they also have government insurance, where the poorest person still has quality healthcare. And if you have a job or something like that, and you have extra things that you want to get, you have private healthcare that can supply those needs. We don't do that. I mean, there's Medicare, but Medicare only pays 80%, which if you, God forbid, have a stroke, how much is 80% going to cover? Like, well, obviously it's 80%, but if you're paying $1 million, that's $200,000 extra. It is aggravating to me. Healthcare that is my white whale of an issue.
Well, it should be. It should be everyone's. Excuse me. But it shows you who runs this country. This country is run by the 1%, the ruling class, and they don't want people to have anything. They want us to live in precarity. They want us to live with uncertainty. They want a healthcare system that ties you to a job that you don't want to lose. And, many people have asked, it's like, well, wouldn't corporations save money if they didn't have to pay for your healthcare? Yes, but then you'd have freedom. Then you could say, take this job and shove it. Then who knows where things could lead? You might get some big idea about having a right to something else. So it benefits them in many ways to keep you in precarity, to make your life difficult, to keep you quiescent, and just in a state where you're less likely to speak up, less likely to really organize, as we've been talking about, and that you'll accept the status quo. So politicians, big corporations, they will tinker around the edges. I mean, Obamacare basically gave everybody the right to buy insurance and pay too much for it. The Medicaid expansion was actually the best thing, and there's still some holdout states, and it looks like a map of the Confederacy when you see the states that never took the Medicaid expansion seriously, literally. That was actually the best thing about it. So if you live in New York and you're on Medicaid, you couldn't get pretty good care. But that's a bigger problem, and that's a bigger problem that excuse me, these marches are not going to solve. That we need a completely different system, and we have to be struggling to get that.
I had a guest, Jason Smith, who lives in China in Beijing, and he pointed out, he says, yeah, my wife ended up in hospital for 2 weeks. And I think the name of the video is China Unveiled or something like that, or everything you wanted to know about China but didn't know to ask. And he breaks down the Chinese healthcare system. And like my mouth is on the floor, because what he's explaining to me is effectively, yeah, she was in the hospital for 2 weeks getting the best of care. And I think she said she paid $100 total. And it might not have even been that much. And even in Indonesia, when I hit my head, I ended up going to the emergency room. They do an x-ray. They prescribe pain medication. And I think I paid $10. I don't even know if I paid that much for it. Like, we do healthcare in such a weird way. It's so aggravating in the States. And I know Indonesia is a different financial system and everything else, but still, it's aggravating.
It's greed. Corporate greed.
Oh, please.
That's what it is. No, I'm just saying it's corporate greed.
Oh, it is. Oh, 1,000% it is. They know they have you over a barrel.
Controlled
It's
by
like,
the
you have
ruling
cancer,
class.
pay me. You have, whatever this illness, pay me. And nobody is going to say, don't sew my finger back on. How much is it going to cost? They just want the finger sewn back on. When are you guys going to, and this could be the last question, when are you guys going to reopen the government? I leave for a few months and you guys shut the government down. When is this? What are you guys planning?
It's hard to say. Trump is hanging tough. And he
doesn't care. I don't think he cares. Like,
he does not care that people are suffering. He does not care at all. And it serves people right who still want to support him. I'm sorry. I've got sometimes that pettiness in me comes out. But something's going to break. Something has to break outside of Washington. And we need to see people angry enough at enough people. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who I never I always
I
thought it was
know.
funny. Liberals always fixate on somebody who's
She sounds like a
we're supposed to
socialist these
hate,
days.
but
Yeah.
she is openly saying that they need to keep funding the Obamacare subsidies, that people
Yeah.
are suffering. Now, so far, most Republicans are scared of Trump. But I think if things break enough, if there's enough of a crisis, that will break the log jam.
You
And it's
think
an
so?
issue that affects enough people that Democrats can't backslide either. So it's the perfect in this way issue to see what everybody's really made of, because it's something people literally cannot live without.
Yeah. What, on November 1st, something happens? Is it that they've passed the horizon, in which case the bills go up and they can't do anything about it?
And they still can, but the bills have already started going up. People are getting bills now for I guess that's what you mean. Yeah, November. These
First.
Obamacare subsidies, people are already seeing what it will cost if they don't negotiate this in Congress, and it's awful that so many people are suffering because of it. But the other thing that makes these big marches, bad is that people need political education, need to literally learn about how to organize, rather than this big spectacle. And excuse me, learn more about how our system really runs, how to fight it, struggle over how to do that. And I'm hoping that something good will come out of this crisis, but it cannot happen if people fetishize having a big march instead of really learning how to organize.
Nice. Margaret, you always have my appreciation for coming on. The audience loves you. I love you to
Thank you.
bits. Thank you for this. Margaret Kimberley, senior columnist and editor for Black Agenda Report, author of Presidential, Black America and the Presidents. I'm not sure if you had a new book out. For some reason, I wanted to say that you did, but that could be.
I did. It's a couple of anthologies. One of them is Countering Counterinsurgency, and the other is
I can't see it.
From the Flag to the Cross, Fascism American Style. And I've contributed to both.
I wasn't wrong. I was like,
no, you were
for some
not.
reason, I think she has another book out. Margaret, thank you for this. You guys can check her out at Freedom Ride blog. You can also check out at Black Agenda Report. Definitely check out her books.
Yes, Wednesday's Black Agenda Report Day. We have a whole new set of great articles today, blackagendareport.com.
I'm surprised y'all don't do video.
We are. Hold on.
Because y'all have a roster.
It's coming. It's coming.
Okay.
It's in the works.
You have a fantastic rest of your day, and thank you for this. Always appreciate you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.